Welcome to Gates of Transformation. If you have been following this channel, you already know that this is a platform for leaders, followers, nation builders. This is where you can find content to continue to develop yourself, increase your influence gauge, and of course, transform the society, the people around you, and even yourself. Today, I am very excited about this segment because I have a very special guest with me. Before I introduce him, I just want you to get ready, call your friends, invite someone to watch with you, share this video, let it go far and wide, because we are going to hear from a young professional, from a young man who is a leader, who is making waves, not only being popular, but making waves, adding value to his society, to his community in the area of technology and entrepreneurship. So, of course, you already know that's what the conversation is going to be centered on. We are going to be talking about technology and how we can marry technology with entrepreneurship to yield the results that we want to see in our nations, in our communities, and of course, make profit, but then add to the development of the society around us. So before I go any further, I would like to allow my guest, Mr. Abdou Karim Badjie, Honorable, to introduce himself.
And why honorable though?
Yes.
Thank you so much, Dr. Margaret. It's an absolute pleasure to be here with you, of course. And of course, Gates of Transformation is not something new to us. We have been watching, we have been learning in the background. And I think it has really been a point of reflection, especially for us young people, gearing towards not only being leaders, but leaders with impact that are really committed to positioning Africa to where it is supposed to be. My name is Abdou Karim, and I work at the intersection of technology, innovation, and digital transformation. But more specifically, using technology as a tool and an enabler to support innovation and young entrepreneurs on how best they could develop and scale up their businesses. And over the years, all my work have been centered around this, particularly with the organization that I work with, the Gambia Tech, which is an initiative initially of the French Embassy, established in 2021. And then since then, what we had been doing is supporting young people through entrepreneurship, through mentorship, through coaching. But at the core of it is how best they could use technology as a tool to develop and scale up as their businesses across different sectors. And at the same time, also serving as an ecosystem builder, working with different partners, different organizations, both within the Gambia and outside of the Gambia, just to see how best we can position Gambia as an innovation and technology-driven hub across the subject.
Thank you very much, Abdou. I am so glad you mentioned that you are at the intersection of technology and entrepreneurship. For me, when I thought of technology in the past, I always thought of tools, applications that we can use just to communicate and get work accomplished.
Exactly.
Most of us did not really see the big picture of how we can utilize technology to expand, to develop, to build businesses, and also even how technology can be a major contributor to advancement of societies and development of people. It is in the recent years, especially in this decade, the noise has gotten louder when it comes to technology. Most of us are realizing that we can actually use technology for different purposes centered around advancing communities, people, and humanity.
Most definitely.
We have a lot of young people in Africa. That has been a conversation too for years now, that Africa is the youngest continent. We have a lot of young people, all of whom we are graduating hundreds and hundreds of young people every month in every nation in the continent of Africa. However, all of these young people that are graduating cannot be employed by the government. And they cannot all be employed by the private sector. We don't have enough jobs for all these young people. But then how do we keep the young people engaged? How do we still keep them in a place where they can make a living for themselves, they can earn income? So technology and creativity comes into play. In your world of training, entrepreneurship, and talking about technology, how do you really believe that young people can utilize technology in their businesses?
I mean, that is quite an interesting question, but just to take you back a little bit, specifically looking at decades ago, like you said, I mean, technology was literally there, but it wasn't really amplified like the way it is today. And there has been a leapfrog in terms of innovation and how technology has been used now, not only as an enabler to support in the transformation and in the scaling of these respective businesses we are talking about, but how it actually has resolved for the adoption of the very people that have really resisted to use this technology before. Now, when it comes to entrepreneurship, first you talked about the job market itself. Africa, like you said, is one of the youngest population, which comprise of over 60% of young people. And the African Union also estimate that by 2030, almost 260 million jobs will require some form of digital skills.
Wow.
But that is just on the technology and in the skill.
Right.
So literally that is to say, for each and every young person today, whether you're looking for a job or whether you want to start a business, technology must become an important ingredient in every facet of what you do.
Well, that's interesting. So it's reality already that within the next few years, for every young person to be gainfully employed or successful in their businesses or in every venture, in their gifts, in their talents, to utilize that to make a living, they need to have some form of digital skills. But when we look at the continent of Africa, from nursery, from preschool to nursery to elementary to middle school to senior secondary school or high school, we are not really equipped with the right technology. Even if we do have some gadgets in the classroom, they may not have the latest applications. Even at the university level, most universities, we saw that during the COVID period, universities were not even prepared for online education. So when the COVID came,
I have really experienced.
Yes,
I'll come to that in a moment.
Yes. So then, what must Africa be thinking about now when we are talking about technology? How must Africa be prepared, or even prepare its young people to function and be effective by 2030, since we are moving to becoming a technology-driven world?
I mean, there is a lot to be done, but you know, as a continent, and let's say, for example, looking at the context of the Gambia, we have always been caught up in that syndrome of trying to catch up when we should have literally been the ones leading. We have the potential, we have the resources, we have literally everything that it takes to empower our people digitally.
The human resources we do have, yes.
To literally lead in these digital ways, but we have not been doing what is literally expected of us and what is required of us, and that keeps on holding us in a bottleneck. When you look at our educational system 10, 15 years ago, for the most part, what we had been learning about digital literacy is the same thing that we are learning today. Microsoft Office suite, Office applications, how to type, how to create a folder in the let's say on the computer itself, how to format a Word document, and so on and so forth. Those are the things that we had been learning.
The basics, the elementary.
And up until today, those are the same things that we are still learning in our schools. And even up to the university level, it is still the same thing.
Wow.
Now, when you look at this, the question becomes, are we evolving, or are we still getting stuck around the same circle? Because digital literacy goes beyond understanding, let's say, for example, how to create a Word document, how to format a Word document, how to prepare a presentation. It's about understanding technology, how it is used and applicable across each and everything that you do. Let's say, for example, today, for each and every person that is applying for an international school, obviously you cannot go there physically to apply.
Right.
You would have to go through the process of, let's say, for example, going to their website, going creating, clicking the forms here and there, and then filling all the different applications. And for the most part, our young people find it difficult to do that.
Are not equipped.
In most cases, they even had to pay people to do that for them.
Right.
Just take an example. Most of our young people today, when they graduate from high school and now transitioning to go to the university, they had to reach out to most of us who are tech service, in a sense, to ask, how can I do this? How can I upload my documents here and there? So this is the reality. The job market, the industries require something different. And then the realities are already there. Why are we thinking in the past?
Wow.
So I think for the most part, to start with the basics is one, revamping our digital literacy curriculum, and then coming up with a digital literacy framework that will look at the realities, the challenges that exist, and then also where technology is heading to, and develop curriculums that are tailored to the local context of Gambians, of course, how we can use technology, but also looking at the realities of the industry and what is really required.
Right.
Beyond that, during my internship with the International Telecommunication Union back in 2023, I came to understand that for us to really move as a country and then to build digitally inclusive societies, it needs to be anchored on three main pillars. Access, accessibility, and then the affordability part.
Access,
accessibility,
and affordability.
Technology alone, let's say for example, the internet and everything have to survive on something. And those are, for example, the broadband. Quite often we hear people talking about poor internet connectivity, especially for those that live in rural Gambia or in remote communities, for example. How do we now ensure that we have the right infrastructures, the right broadband, and everything that is required to make sure that people that do not have access to these opportunities are now able to connect to the internet? Well, that is actually from the broadband part. But this broadband needs to be powered by something.
Right.
Electricity. I don't even need to explain this.
Right.
You know how erratic it is, especially in Gambia, especially when it comes to power shortages and everything else.
Right.
So that is another aspect of it. And when we talk about accessibility, it's about ensuring that people, regardless of their gender, their ability, their location, are able to use these different technologies. And somehow, the way that you would probably teach older people for them to really understand the context of digital tools and everything else would be way different from how you would teach a young person. And the way that probably men or boys would actually perceive how to use these technologies or how to use them would be different from how you would actually teach a girl. The way, let's say, for example, a person with disabilities would be able to access and use these technologies would probably be different from those that are actually not visually impaired. So it's not about, let's say, for example, using one size fits all approach. It's about ensuring that the technologies that we build are catered for each and every person, and that also look at the realities in terms of how we design our curriculums in the respective schools. And most importantly, the affordability part. Yes, if the infrastructure is there, the broadband and everything else, and then we have also looked at the accessibility part of it. How do we also ensure that it is affordable for the average user?
Yes.
So these are all important things that we need to put into consideration, particularly in the African context. And when you talk about affordability, it's not only about broadband, but even it's about the devices that we use, the mobile phones and so on and so forth.
Right.
So for someone who's studying at the university today, of course, they would need, for example, this laptop, this gadget that they would normally they would need to use probably.
Yes.
But if they don't have the resources to buy them, it becomes a challenge.
Yes.
If the internet is costly, obviously they cannot do their research, and it makes it difficult even for someone who lives as far as Fatoto in the Gambia to get access to these technologies, regardless of using them. So the digital gap is already there. We really need to bridge that gap in a sense. And how do we do this? One, revising our educational system, ensuring that we have the right broadband, the right infrastructures in place, because today, for example, we are talking about artificial intelligence, and that requires a lot of resources, a lot of data centers and everything powered. We don't even have them in the continent.
Right.
And it makes it difficult. If we do not have this in place, and then, of course, making sure that our people are educated and aware of the importance of these different technologies, obviously we'll continue to live in the past. Until then,
you said something very interesting. You know, anytime you touch education, you get my attention. Whilst you were speaking about how up until this point, this 2026, that in most of the classroom, in most African countries, especially those lower level classrooms that are not university level, they are still under-resourced or completely not resourced with technology, with gadgets, with technology that's needed, appropriate. Even if we have the technology, like I said, most likely is outdated.
Absolutely.
So I believe that the greatest gift we can give the continent now is to start teaching people in their context.
Absolutely.
Even if we don't have the computers, I believe that we should move away from A is for apple, B is for boy, T is for Tom, to now start getting them T is for technology. So we can orient them to start learning that there is a world that exists, a world that we are all about to get into, and it's called the world of technology. I believe that we need to encourage more African writers. When you talk about writing our own curriculum, it's one thing to write the curriculum here, but if we're importing the books, we are still not doing ourselves a favor.
I mean, this is why context is actually very important.
Yes.
And then, in the beginning, you talked about entrepreneurship in a sense.
Yes.
And how we can use technology to support, or how young people could actually take advantage of the digital revolution to really design and then grow with it and create more opportunities for them.
Right.
And just to kind of correlate that a little bit, in everything that we do, it needs to be context specific.
Correct.
What works in the US, what works in the EU might be completely different from what would work in the Gambia.
Yes.
And in the development of these curriculums, for example, especially on the writer's part, that is something that needs to be put into consideration. Yes, the West is evolving, but the realities are different.
Right.
The way we Africans would probably perceive how to use, for example, these curriculums that are developed, and how it also applies to the different walks of life in our industries is completely different from how it is done in the West. And even coming back to the entrepreneurship aspect of it, technology is an enabler. Right?
That's becoming more of a reality today.
Exactly.
Back in the day, no one needed to advertise to show pictures of the shoes in statuses or in their social media postings. One person buying a shoe could have, that news could have traveled all the way to several towns to educate people that there is a particular shop in a particular location that sells shoes. Today, there are so many other shops selling shoes that people are being creative in utilizing the technology that's available to them to reach audiences farther than they would have reached by word of mouth. And not only that, I see a lot of young people throughout Africa. There is a lot of creativity in Africa that is not featured and not tapped into. The other day, a few days ago, I was speaking to a few people and explaining to them how we were looking at cooking utensils like the blender.
The blender, yes.
And we were talking about steaming vegetables, and also we were talking about the grater that they were using to grate carrots. I said to them, you know what? Something just dawned on me, that we have always had creativity in Africa that is not recognized, that the people are not equipped to take their creativity out of their daily needs to making it a business. I shared with them how I remember how when I was young, we would use empty milk cans or tomato cans, empty. Put it on the ground, take a nail, drive the nail, punch holes in it. The other side is rough, and that's what we used to grate mangoes to eat.
Exactly, yeah.
I said,
I remember doing that when I was young.
Correct. I said, so before the invention of the grater that we are now buying, importing from other countries to bring into Africa, people already had the mindset and the creativity that if I take a can, which is metal, if I punch holes in it, one side is rough, the other side is smooth, the rough side can serve as a grater. So today, young people are very creative, I believe, but we need to teach them how they can leverage technology, not only to advertise or market, but to create.
actually.
So talk to me about that.
I think these are very important aspects. Remember, I said technology is just an enabler.
Yes.
And in this modern day and time, the most important resource and tool that we have is our level of creativity, innovation, but how we literally use technology to actually make a difference. Because technology alone cannot do everything on its own. It has to depend on us. The way we think, the way we analyze, and the way we come up with ideas. Let's take it for example. Today, one of the most famous or the most followed TikToker is an African. The Senegalese based in Italy, Kabila, right? How did that happen? It's not as if, for example, he's doing literally what other people are doing. He used his creativity, what he knows best. He doesn't even talk in his videos. Not
to consume the technology.
He just does
he's not
his
a consumer
and everything.
He's a creator.
And then he's using his creativity now to sell to the public.
Right.
And then he's making millions out of it.
Right.
When it comes to the respective business, for example, in the social media aspect of it, again, technology is not it's just an enabler. If you're someone that has a store or a restaurant based at a particular corner, obviously you would need to sell.
Right.
And there's this saying that in entrepreneurship that the most known product beats the best product.
The most known product
beats the best product.
Beats the best product.
Yes.
So if you have a best product that's hidden,
people wouldn't know.
People wouldn't know about it. It wouldn't make waves.
Exactly.
But then a popular product can make more money than the best product.
Exactly. One thing about entrepreneurship is selling.
Selling.
It doesn't matter regardless of how many products you have at your disposal. Let's say, for example,
you mean entrepreneurship is not posing on social media?
No.
You mean entrepreneurship is not flyers?
No.
And branding?
Absolutely.
Because that's where most young people are, their energy is driven towards branding. Everybody wants to brand themselves as the most this and the most that, and all the awards that are being received everywhere. And some people are just stuck in the branding and consuming of technology. But are you saying that technology shouldn't only be used for that?
Absolutely not. And
I hope that some young person out there in Africa is listening to this segment. This is a young man who is in this industry, and he's telling you that beyond the WhatsApp status showing your photos and your friends and marketing everywhere you go and everything you do, you can actually create an enterprise out of that gadget in your hand. Go ahead.
Out of that gadget in your hand, that's where I'm actually going to pick it up again. One of the most interesting and exciting tools for some of us right now is actually our mobile phone. It has really been transformed into an office. I could be at home or be outside of the office, be somewhere else in the field, go to the beach or whatsoever, and I'll be working directly from my mobile phone. What that means literally is that, again, technology is just an enabler. The business is actually out there. You have the products and everything else. But how you now use the technology to sell those products would now depend on how you literally use it itself. Because, again, going back to the status part of it that you talked about, for the most part, especially among most entrepreneurs in today's day and time, we want the world to know that we're building something before we even build it.
Business is no longer actually selling a product. It's no longer actually bringing a solution. It's no longer actually a service. But in the world of the young people, some young people, business is noise.
Exactly. And what that means is that, again, just to repeat that phrase again, for most of us, we are trying to build or show to the world that we are building something before we even build it. And what that means is that when you look at entrepreneurship, the entrepreneurship life cycle, and then the different steps that you even have to take to go out there to build a product that is both sustainable and impactful, it has to pass through different stages. And that's where value creation comes in. But most importantly, it needs to be something that solves a need or a particular problem. So what we normally do in this modern day and time is that just because someone is selling something, and then we are like, oh, this is very nice, this is very good, I can literally take it and then put it on my status or start posting. And then start posting because you believe that it can actually be sold.
Right.
But ideally, just to take you back a little bit to what I said before, that is just trying to copy something that is out there with the belief that it's actually literally going to work. And
that
in most
technology
cases,
can sell it for you.
Exactly. And then in most cases, give them 2-3 months, the business would actually fail.
Right.
Why? Because you're not solving a need and you're not literally solving a problem. Remember again, I will repeat this number of times. Technology is just an enabler.
It's not the business driver.
It's not the business driver itself.
So we tell technology what to do.
Exactly. So what I mean is, like, say for example, today, if you have a business, it should be able to work with or without the technology itself, depending on the context in a sense. So let's say, for example, you're a shopkeeper, right?
Right.
And then you sell shoes and bags and so on and so forth, right? Obviously, you should be able to somehow sell even without adding technology to it. Right? So what the technology actually does for you is that it helps you to amplify and to reach out a larger audience. Let's say, for example, if you're using the power of social media, of course,
right,
to do social media marketing, you're able to advertise, you're able to reach out to more people in a sense, like compared to conventionally when we would go to radio sometimes to go and do advertisements like papers, or we do word of mouth marketing here and there, which is actually very good. But technology, the technology application of it actually helps you to do more than expected. But if, for example, you now have that shop, and then if you let's say, for example, integrate technology into it, if the technology is removed and then the business is not working, then it doesn't become a business anymore.
Wow.
I hope you understand the perspective.
I am getting it.
Take an example of, for example, platforms like Amazon, for instance. Right. They are just an aggregator in a sense. People come, post their products and everything else, right? So even, let's say, for example, for those that are posting their products and everything else, even if, let's say, without Amazon, ideally, they should be able to sell their products at a local level. The Amazon part of it is just to help them reach out to a larger audience, and then also help in terms of accessibility for people to be able to easily order and access their products.
So similarly, looking at that context of Amazon, technology then should be like a mediator.
Exactly.
Technology should be a facilitator.
Exactly.
It's not supposed to be, we are not supposed to relinquish our power to technology, which I know we'll talk about in the next segment. We shouldn't relinquish our power to technology, but we can utilize technology as a partner in development.
Exactly.
So our businesses can be expanded. We can have a wider reach and a farther reach with technology. However, we still need to do the work because we have to tell technology what to do for us.
Exactly.
Instead of relinquishing all of what we are supposed to do, expecting that technology will do it for us.
Exactly.
I think that's something that the young people need to understand.
If the technology actually becomes the foundation of your business itself, it might highly be likely that if the technology is not there, the business
will die. Wow.
So again, let's learn the art. It's really important. We live in a digital, let's say a global village in a sense. Everything that we do today is centered around technology.
Right.
It's a driver. We need to learn it. We need to use the art of, not really need to understand the art of it and how we are required to go about it.
Right.
But most importantly, it shouldn't replace our thoughts, our creativity, our sense of innovation. Because if that is literally not there, and then the technology aspect of it is actually being kind of replacing that part, the business could literally fail. The other part of it is this, especially for those of us that are solo founders, or let's say, for example, individual entrepreneurs. It is good to use the power of technology, integrate it as much as you can, but also need to understand that the way you use it would determine how your business would actually scale and grow. I mean, we have seen a lot of companies that at some point, I wouldn't actually want to specifically mention names, that initially had to displace a lot of its workers.
Right.
Because they believe that, let's say, for example, technology is actually going to probably replace those people. And eventually they realized that, okay, fine, we made a mistake. Because
we still need the people aspect.
Exactly. There should be that marriage between balance. The technology itself.
Correct.
And then the human being.
And the human being.
Working side by side to make sure that we are able to accomplish more. That's why I said technology is just an enabler.
Thank you very much, Abdou. It's getting deep. It's getting very interesting. And actually, you just mentioned something that I want to use as a segue into our part 2 of this conversation. And that is technology and human beings should come together. And together, they can build. Absolutely. Together, we can reach places. Together, we can expand businesses. Together, we can advance societies. But it should not be human beings alone trying to do everything today, or human beings relying on technology 100% to do everything. Absolutely. But it should be a marriage, it should be a partnership, it should be a collaboration. Absolutely. So that is very key. And that is a great segue, like I said, to our part 2. I want us to peg this conversation here because we have a part 2. And again, if you come across this video, don't watch alone, especially if you're a young person in the continent of Africa, or even a young person in any continent of the world. You may want to share this. Today, I had Abdou Karim Badjie, who is a tech professional. I don't know what he calls himself in the tech world, but I do know that he is a tech professional. In his day-to-day career, he utilizes technology to teach young people and anybody in entrepreneurship how to expand their businesses, branding, expanding businesses, creating brands, creating services, creating products in the space of technology. So that's why I wanted to invite him today to come and be our guest, because we live in a technology-driven world. Very soon, I believe, the dollar bills, the cash, the paper cash that we are transacting around will disappear somehow, and we'll all be relying on technology for cash, for transactions and other things in our lives.
I mean, it's already happening.
Exactly, it's already happening. So thank you so much for joining us for this part 1 of this dialogue with Abdou Karim Badjie, entrepreneurship, technology, the marriage, and how young people can leverage the technology, because they are the human beings leveraging technology to advance themselves. And of course, an advanced person will advance everything around them. Stay tuned for part 2. This is Gates of Transformation. Thank you for watching.